think we can get started now. Great. While more people come in, and there are more people who are kind of seeing us live on LinkedIn. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I have privilege to have Dinesh alongside me today for this coffee chat call. You know that every month we come in and we have different subject and topic that we cover, and with some experts who have been there, done that. I know Dinesh for a little over 4 years now. Around COVID is when I reached out to him for some help, and obviously to learn from the wisdom that he has got working in CX industry across, I think, various verticals. And that's when we started our conversation. And here we are today. I was chatting up with him last month, I guess, and I requested, hey, if we could possibly get you in and see if we can create one more interesting content for our audiences across the globe. And as we speak today, we are actually concluding world's largest fintech fest in India, GFF 24. More than 80,000 people have come in, and I think it's been nothing short of any fiesta for that matter. So
Sure.
that's coffee chat. We kind of keep it pretty candid, open, and anybody who needs to ask any questions, you can always ask questions. And Dinesh, I can go on and on, but I've worked across multiple industries, telecom, banking, real estate, and whatnot. Currently based out of Dubai. Awarded, I don't know how many times, but awards are, I don't think that award can do justice to the work that has gone in over all these years. But Dinesh, why don't we quickly get started? And you give a quick brief about the experience that you have, and that will be only for 2 minutes, and I'll get started shooting all my questions to you and see how we can bring real value to people who have joined us and who are listening to this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you, Kapil, for having me here. Really nice to be on your chat and chatting up with you and also engaging with the audience here. Uh, 2 minutes is a good time. I'm a very simple and straight person. Worked across multiple industries, 25 years in total. Started with contact centers, tech support, did about 10 years of that, uh, tech support, BFSI, and multiple other industries there, where I was heading quality, heading operations, P&L, India operations, and then moved on after doing an acquisition for Hero to telecom. Telecom, I spent good amount of time, and I think I've seen everything that one can do in telecom, at least in the operational space. I would not go technical and product yet. Uh, did a lot there, from strategic roles to transformation roles, to creating of shared services. Uh, I think that was the best I could ever do, managing 15,000 people across the country, outsourced fellows. But that was the biggest, I still see and look up to. Um, Moved from there to building the first super app of the country,
Wow.
and then worked in banking space, and now transforming a little unstructured industry from experience perspective, which is real estate. However, there are nuances of itself, or there are own nuances of the industry, and there are some great players like Shobha that I'm working with. More than I doing, I learn every day, because each company brings its own DNA, ethos, values. And if you work for a brand which is as valuable as this, of course, you get to learn a lot. And thankfully, I have done that over past 20 years, worked with top conglomerates of India. Worked with HDFC, worked with Tata's, worked with Aditya Birla Group, worked with Wipro, worked with Hero Group. So I got a lot of rich values from each of these experiences.
No, I think I'm like, I just forgot that, you, how could I do that? Like, I think you were you were also leading even if it was for a small time, Tata Digital as well, right? So to ensure that the entire experience gets elevated. Just a quick question straight away. Which one do you think was the most difficult thing for you to do? Was it managing 20 plus thousand people, or managing transformations, across the journeys that you've had, or now managing, altogether a different industry? Which one was your or has been your most difficult stint so far?
Okay, so I'll tell you, the toughest stint for me was in telecom when I got a mandate to create a model which is a shared services model out of a distributed organization.
Wow.
It's a 23 circle distributed organization, and you have to create something which should look very clean and should look that you are not moving even 1% out of the system. Everyone should have individual smart goals, smart contribution. You can't say they all will do, or any two roles will do the same job.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody should go out. While we were expanding from whatever small we were, when it becomes a shared services, it was for good and it was becoming larger. However, all internal employees should have rich experience from that. They should have valuable experience, and they should have valuable and meaty role for each one of them.
Yeah. Okay, that's very, very interesting. So people always top the chart. So in terms of seeing this entire journey from customer support to customer service to now customer experience and AI-led experience, how have you seen this transition, and understanding of businesses across all the vertical? Because I think it is more to do with mindset change along with technology that you use. So having seen all of it, right? So how do you see this transition? Where do you see, we have done really, really well, and which industries have actually matured with this kind of transition so far?
So I'll take your transition from a 3-point to a 5-point transition. Still a little back in the days, it was called as operations. You will have a service and a product which gets sold, and then post that, everything is operations.
Mm-hmm.
Then came an era of service delivery. Service. Some word service came in, but everyone said, what is service? You need to have operations there. You can't call it service operations. Some people said service operations, some said service delivery. 10 years down the road, it became, then customer came into the frame. Then there was a transition of customer service. People are still absorbing customer service. A lot of industries still are. And the world has moved on quite advanced to customer experience and how they are different. So when it was just operations, you will get the thought process, and the expectation was, I have bought something, I have to do all my research before I buy, before I subscribe. Then came the time you subscribe, there'll be someone to support you. That was post-sale support. Then came the time which was service delivery. Then it continued to elevate from there because there was something which was moving ahead. Then customer support, it was no more service support, it was customer support. So customer got some value and some place, small. But yes, every business would think that, oh, customer is also something. Then came the word customer service, because you can no more run your business if you don't listen to your customers. So you have to merge, and it became customer service. This was the time when customer became a bit more predominant in business world. uh, Business leaders would voice and give value, whatever value, depending
Mhm.
on the industry, to customer service. But
Wow.
customer service was present everywhere. Now, CX may be the advanced term,
Mhm.
not easy for many businesses to adopt yet, but CX is not customer service. And I had a very lengthy discussion yesterday, with a lot of like-minded or senior leaders around,
Mhm.
that it is no more just service. The ambit of CX starts from when I look at a hoarding or an advertisement of your brand.
Mhm.
That's where my experience starts, because in my mind, I make an image, impression, and expectation about your brand from this point on. And that's
Absolutely.
the journey. That's the beginning of CX. That's the journey and the beginning of customer experience, because customer has created an image of what customer should be expecting from this brand basis this brand advertisement commercial that we are running, or a
Mhm.
hoarding, static or dynamic. So it is very important for businesses more than ever now to know and to give importance to CX. Uh, while we will talk later, there is a lot more to this and a bit of caveat also. CX more than ever has or is more transformation. It
Hmm.
is not just, like I said, it is not just customer service. Customer service is just a part of CX. When you look at CX, you have to look at the entire sales journey. You have to look at the entire sign up journey. You have to look at who subscribed for you and who dropped. Your drop sale becomes your research point, why someone dropped, because that
Hmm.
tells you how do you improve. It's just like outcome of your CSAT.
Absolutely.
And CX is the growth driver for tomorrow, because you CX will tell you these are the customers not buying because this is what they saw, expected, and was not delivered. So either you change your messaging in the commercial,
Mhm.
or you change the preposition, or you change the transition.
Got it.
So,
And
it's very different today from the world that we have seen over, last 30 years, 40 years.
just to add to this, I'm like, while I'll, move on to the real subject, in terms of, you meeting various business leaders, what I've always seen is, people need to walk the talk. I see people talking about technology, transformation, CX a lot, but when it comes to implementation, most of the time it is driven by finance, then by the leader who is wanting to do something, and then maybe it's more to do with maybe talking about it a lot, and the customer does not feel. And that's why in many studies today, we see that the companies believe that they are doing a lot and the customer does not agree.
Um, I would disagree here. And that's where I said, when you have a CX leader versus a CS leader,
Hmm, hmm,
this changes, because a CX leader needs to know or also drive the digital transformation agenda.
hmm, hmm, hmm.
And this person should understand what we require for the business.
Got
Just
it.
not because everyone is saying, oh, I need omni-channel, you just dive in and say, I will drive nice. You don't know what nice can give you. I will drive Genesis. You don't know what Genesis can give you. Hey, no, I will have Freshworks. Why? Is Salesforce the best? Why? Is it right for my business? I'm sorry, I'm taking certain names, but
Hmm,
they are definitely top of the chart, and nothing bad in that. But you need to know, as a leader taking the decision, why you need it. That why has to be clear. And I would say for at least last 6 years,
mhm,
I haven't gone back on what I decided. Not that, I'm stubborn or there is something. No, because I know the why. I write the why and then I take forward. I dropped Salesforce for Freshworks. I knew the why. While
mhm.
my management said, you're dropping Salesforce? the CEO was there, India head was there, and then someone flew from Singapore. But my CEO said, "Oh, that's the man. He has decided. He has given me the why, and I'm convinced."
Got it. That's very interesting. So, now moving to the core topic, right? I'm like, of various stints that you have done, banking is something which has been obviously one of the most regulated and also highly, highly sensitive vertical or a sector, right? So, from a business standpoint, uh, and from an industry standpoint, uh, coming from telecom, and then obviously a bit of stint with digital businesses, heading straight away into banking, right? How difficult was that, and what's your view? How is that industry or banking industry different from others? And again, you have worked with, I think, what, the fourth largest bank in the world. So
Yes.
yeah,
Uh,
so just talk a bit about that, and then I think we'll start deep diving into the same.
sure. So it would be wrong to say what I expected. It was different than that. Of course, it was, and it was difficult than that. I came in and I said, "Hey, this is SDFC. They manage." I was handling 300 million customers. I think they manage 2x of that. And value-wise, this is the value I was managing. This is 20x of that. I will be able to do this, 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 this. And I came in, all hands are tied, and people are saying, for 3 years we are begging for this data. This data doesn't come. That doesn't come. Why it doesn't come? Nobody wants to get in there. Neither
Mm-hmm.
the one who is asking for it nor the one who is approving it. Uh, and and I have gone through phases where I realized, and I knew, because I was made party to, because I was part of many such forums internally in the bank, responsible for things in the bank. If there is something goes wrong, a fraud happened not with our bank, with some other bank. At 2 a.m., I got a call. Please come on call. There is vigilance, and there are 8 other banks. I said, but
Mm-hmm.
what do we have to do with it? No, you are the top bank. There are some merchants of yours involved in that. Some transaction from your flow may be also traveling. So I knew why a lot of restrictions are there. And then I used to tell people, ask very specifically what you need. I need internal data. I need only this, this, this. I went in to get it classified. These are the parameters which will never be shared, even internally in the reports. These are classified as restricted. These are classified as uncertain approval bands. So my internal audit team and data teams were happy that first time someone is classifying. On the other side, I had to tell the business, this is the value that I have brought in, and this is the value across the bank of these customers and merchants. So you're right. It was very different in banking on restriction of data. What is most important for you when you adapt? You should know, one, what you need. Two, of what you need, how much is restricted? You should eliminate that. Don't waste time on that. Don't burn your blood. What you need and should be given, go help the decision makers know or even understand, is it restricted? Is it actually restricted? Or because they were pushing and everyone is asking everything, they have just been pushing people back. I think I got my success a lot there. I was very happy. Yeah, things took time because you have to understand the system, and system also needs to understand you. So that worked very well with me there.
Got it. Now in terms of doing some innovation, and obviously you were leading experience for most impactful aspects of the business. Uh, how did you go about it, right? And when you implemented solution, and again, SDFC, or if I can use the name, is not just a bank for India, right? It's a renowned name, and again, Middle East is still is a market that they are growing, uh,
Yes.
and again being built with the global mindset. So
Yes.
talk about the most difficult, challenging yet fulfilling CX program that you kind of built upon. And you also spoke about the entire customer relationship management ecosystem. So
Yeah.
talk about that. Which was the most difficult and challenging stuff that you built, and how did you go about it?
Sure. One key about banking is, like you said, restriction of data, highly regulated. Sharing of data is part of regulations. You can't just say it is bank who is regulating it. It is part of RBI regulations as well. So you need to be very sure what you can host, what is the security, what is the level of breach that can happen. There are times when someone says, I don't want to put in data there because I can't even challenge it. I am not capable of breaching that, but there may be people who are far more capable than me and may breach into my data, or there may be a data breach, or they may attack. So with that, you can't ever go to the cyber team and say, please, if you can't do it, nobody will be able to do it. They said, no, if I'm going in for something, I have to report to RBI. So half of the times you say, okay, I'm back. But then, uh, that is one term I think I learned a little early, maybe 15 years from now. Some of the leaders taught me, if you can't work with restrictions, then you can't work. It is in your mind that this is a restriction. You should say this is the business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If there is a traffic light and the signal is red, you say that's a restriction. No, that's not a restriction. So, yeah. So with that restriction, I started to design who are running, they need. Or we never had an app. They need an app. I said, okay. We can't give customer data there. I cannot show my merchant data there. What can I do? Okay. Everyone knows who is the customer, and there is a token to the customer, and there is an ID to the customer. Can I ID every customer? Can I have an identifier for each customer? And I can mask. I said, if it is Dinesh Dua, when I go to the customer, I may say DI and UA. Rest everything is masked. Or maybe a word in between, and rest of the things are masked. So, okay, there were many options that we explored. First name should be shown, second should be shown, this should be done, that should be done. Where we came, no, none of this. Masking is a good option. Every alternate word or every two alternate alphabets should be masked. That went well. And most importantly, you need to ask people on the ground what works for them. I may decide this. I may be happy. My developer may be fabulous and happy and say, yeah, this is doable. This is possible. I can do it. My tech team may say, yeah, this is a solution. All internal approvals. When I ask the guys on the ground, they say, sir, what do I do with this? Half of the solutions are of no use. So I used to ensure whenever there is a decision, I take all the options and I go to these people separately. I tried getting them into these meetings, and they don't work because all these people cannot talk in such a big meeting with so many stakeholders and senior stakeholders. So better I used to have a fortnightly meeting with the field on the ground, with the people who have their touch on the ground, leaders on the ground, and ask them, these are 5 options, and I will show you visually what this option means. Right to you if I give it to you tomorrow. This is for name. Okay. This is for this. Decision maker for me was not me, was my team on the ground. And that's how we built the CRM for every aspect. And, even after that, what used to happen, after all the discussion is done, we thrashed out, I would get one email. And I used to tell people, if you want to write to me without anyone in CC, so that you can write and you have no fear who was speaking on your behalf. My boss and my boss's boss was already talking. I don't want to counter. So forget that. And then, I used to take points like that. You treat it as an anonymous mail, let it come. It is a feedback because they will give you most important points.
Correct.
That's how I learned to build my CRM in such a regulated environment. And I'm so happy that went live and it has changed their life. It has made their life many, many times simpler, easier. I think they were waiting for many years. I don't want to say decade for that.
I get that. And what was the success metric, for this particular system that you built?
See, for to drive experience, biggest metric is time, and I always measure it in time. However, there are others. I don't want to discount them, but when you are trying to do something for the customers, like you were giving an example before our call, today, most important thing is time and accuracy. These are the only two things our customers are looking for.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
How do you coin out what time, what's the starting point and what is the end point is the only metric as a leader you need to identify and define unbiasedly.
Got it. Interesting. So, diving further deep, in terms of the entire customer experience ecosystem or CRM ecosystem, uh, I have seen that, it's always a challenge because people who are deciding are sitting at the top or maybe, kind of leading the function. But in this entire journey, the user is lost. Now, there are two users. One is your customer, and then your internal users who are actually solving it for the customer. Right. So now, in terms of, as you said, that you build the system, kind of, change people's lives. In terms of now, if you see the entire banking ecosystem, how do you see it evolving? And I'm sure that, while you have moved to another industry, but that doesn't take you far away from what you have built and what you are seeing day in, day out. And I'm sure that with the kind of network that you have got, kind of people that you meet, you keep talking about it. So how is it
Yes.
evolving and where do you see it going now?
Uh, Sorry to reflect back on yesterday, but this was another topic because we had a lot of bankers and banking leaders yesterday. And this Middle East is, or at least Dubai, is a place where you have a lot of banks, and every bank wants their share from this pie and fair share from this pie, I would say. So there were so many banks, and everyone was talking, and we had some AI experts as well, some data scientists as well. Uh, And this fight was on, and I could see India slightly ahead of the curve because the regulation is RBI is driving a lot of things. That's the reason I could see India a little ahead of the curve. Of course, when I look at digitization, Dubai is far, far ahead. The thought process itself is far, far ahead. There is no doubt about it. Here, everything is digital, and with the kind of population we have, we'll definitely take time and go there. However, the challenge still remains PII and breach of customer information, which is very sensitive everywhere. Barring that, I see the entire banking will become online. There will be nearly no branches. And there are already some cards. Your one card has no branch. And now banks are experimenting. Almost every bank is experimenting to have neo banking, experimenting to have a digital card with no physical presence. It is launched by a bank. You go to that bank, they say, sorry, this is not dealt by us. This is a digital product. Please talk to them digitally. Everyone is experiencing, experimenting, and trying to build that. In next 5 years or at most 10, bank's presence will be as a digital entity. Yeah, of course, because currency may also become digital over period. That may happen in 10 or 15 years or 20 years. No, but it's your word versus mine. However, till the time we are dealing in physical currency tenders, banks will exist, physical presence will be there, but physical walk-in may not be there. You may not be required to go in there. And that's the way world will evolve and change, not just India. People, I still share the story of UPI with a lot of bankers here. Ironically, most of the people here are either from India or from Europe.
Yeah.
And the entire ecosystem here understands what UPI and what NPCI has done. So they all swear by India when it comes to banking or digitization there. Of course, they say this was a very brave and very nice move, and I think very fast forward move. So India may go faster in that journey, but till we reach a point where tender becomes electronic, there will be some bit of brick and mortar into banks. Once tender becomes electronic, you will see bank nowhere on the roads. Today, wherever you go, whichever street you go, you'll find presence of either a bank or an ATM. That'll all go away.
Okay, that's very interesting, and that's very far, fast forward looking as well. To understand, the entire customer context and the journey, right? Most of the things in the banking system revolve around, selling, upselling, cross-selling various products, right? Most of the times you've got so many products in bank that even the customer is not aware about what they can actually avail. But when it comes to privacy, you can only make recommendation. And obviously, everybody, when it comes to CX, talks about personalization and
Yes.
very recently, hyper-personalization.
Hyper-personalization.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, but when it comes to that, you're also then kind of hinting that these recommendations cannot be made until and unless you have data of the customer available with you. Right now, if you don't have the customer data available with you, how would you make that recommendation? I was actually at Gartner's event last year, or maybe early this year, and Gartner said that by 2029, 80% or 75% of the businesses will not be able to store customer data. They will not be able to afford it because the cost of data storage itself will go high. So how do you see this entire journey panning out when it comes to, onboarding the customer, selling something that you wish to? While I understand that today with UPI, you know that where the money has been spent by the customer or consumer, and what is the pattern, what are the trends, and then kind of building products based on the analytics that you do. But fast forward 5 years or 3 years now, when you won't have that data or won't have that privilege, because with all the GDPR and DPD rules that are coming across in terms of privacy, the customer will say that, hey, I'm not going to share this data, or I don't want you to use this data for any of the analytics purpose. How would it pan out then?
So I don't want to challenge Gartner in saying whether I'll be able to use or not. I'm sure they have many and much more bright-minded people than me sitting there and working for them, and they may have reasons to say so. However, I see data availability will be more than less. Yes, certain restricted information, they're absolutely right, which is not available today, which will not be available tomorrow. However, maybe I'll go a step back first and tell you, one, you have all the data of spending. You gave me the answer within your question. You have the pattern. You have where am I using? And today, AI is able to aggregate all that data. Tomorrow, you will not require to store that data as much, because a lot of meaningful summary will be churned out by this data or by the portion or slices of data and stored in a much lesser space. That's one. Two, what you require today is digital real estate with a customer. And it might have become my favorite slang when while I'm selling real estate, but I need real estate in customer's phone. That's the most important real estate I need today. And then I can do anything. I can enable the customer for anything. If I have that, with one, I will have privilege of knowing where the customer is spending money. Two, I will have privilege of presenting to the customer what all he or she can do. So at various, then it'll all depend on UI and UX of my app to keep popping up to the customer what I can do, or what a customer can subscribe for with us, and then tying to all the activities online for the customer. If someone is booking a ticket on on a plane to US, and I know this is the college season, or someone is browsing and trying to find out about colleges, I know, oh, I have to push through an education loan. Someone is traveling, I know I need to push a personal loan. I know your records, I know your history, I have your synopsis, I know how much you can afford. You are trying to find out something much, much more pricier. I know there is an opportunity for loan. There is a leverage required. Yeah. So a lot may come from there, and rightly so. There will be some restrictions. There will be how we use it. Tomorrow will tell. Unless we have those restrictions in front of us, it'll be wrong to just believe them, and in fear of what may come, not work on what is possible.
Yeah. Got it.
But it is very much possible, and it will become all the more easy.
Interesting. I think that's an interesting take. Now, in the beginning, you mentioned that there were a couple of things that you kind of spoke about on the CRMs. Of late, Gen AI slash AI slash Llama 3, you just name it and it's there, right? You would have explored and maybe, bumped into a lot of players who are doing one or other thing in this space. And all of a sudden, from last 8 to 10 months, it has become, most sought after space by anybody in the technology world, right?
Yeah.
So, from your experience and having seen all these systems, from NICE to Salesforce to Freshworks to Five9, maybe to other, cloud telephony,
Yeah.
analytics platforms, which piece of technology, you have been really amazed with, and which one you think, needs a lot of change with regard to the form and the way things work right now from future of CX perspective?
See, I would not name and say this was something beautiful I bumped into. I have deployed 3 years, 5 years, 7 years back as well. We started back in 2013 or 14. We were the pioneers to do something there. Back in telecom, then the entire Tata digital space I had built on AI and on bots. 70% of queries or QRC is still handled by bot. We designed those journeys, and I'm sure people after me are equally or much more capable and have done better job there. At SDFC, we started designing something. We haven't used AI in banking. I won't lie on that. Now I am using AI, and I am now looking at using Gen AI. But that is yet to be explored in what is the capability. And like you asked, which CRM? I would say exploration always starts with the startups. Back in the day, Sprinkler was a startup when I started using them, and we were their first customer in India.
Okay.
And then I have done it again at SDFC, and now they are too big for me to even claim anything, any royalty of whatever I have given them as input back then. But startups always give you more. It may be capture, and I was listening to someone last couple of days. I've interacted with many such startups who are into this space. They are doing far more work and beautiful work. Of course, either they'll be acquired or this technology will be also adopted by the likes of NICE, Salesforce, and so on and so forth, or Sprinkler. But these guys will take time. because they need to ensure they are secure from US, UK, and so many other restricted, different countries and the way they do business. However, the newer and the startup CRMs are giving a lot of flexibility. If your business is not as stringent as banking, you should use them. Or even in banking, I was not able to take my customer data out. I would love to still explore with these guys and use it on the layer where I'm using, and they are not entering into or exchanging any data with my space. There is always a way to secure your data. There is always a way to secure your environment and say, my output feed is only X. My input feed is secure, and that will happen, whether real time or it is happening once in an hour, once in 2 hours. That's all depending on, where you are, what you're trying to transform. This is what I've learned in banking. Otherwise, we used to say everything is real time now. Banking, I know I can't push without weighing the data and checking the data by these things. So this parsing may take 30 minutes. Okay, no problem. At least we'll do in an hour. Today we were doing it manually, and it used to take 2 days. At least it will go to that stage.
Interesting. I think that's a very interesting perspective. Now, while you obviously spoke about working with startups because they are lean, they are flexible, and they would adapt to your need, and they would kind of understand your perspective first, rather than having built such a huge system that now anybody who has built a huge system, they would not change for you, right? So, and that's where most of the businesses also feel, and the product leaders feel, that nobody can kind of meet my use case, and possibly I need to do or build my own. And I've seen a number of large players also still doing it, but then obviously after 10, 12, 15 years they realize that this is not something that we should have done, but we want to possibly get away with this particular piece. Having said that, and having seen a lot of changes happening in this space, where do you really see gray space wherein you feel that while there's a lot being done, this particular piece I don't think has been solved largely for a bigger use case. And if you were to be a leader to kind of find a solution of, what would be that one biggest problem or gray area in the CX space that you would want to have a solution for?
I don't know if it's exactly the answer that you were looking for, but usage of AR and VR is very limited in CX. Maybe I've taken your question from the other end. And most customers on certain things, they still want to go and try and take it only because of the dependency or usage of AR, VR. It is being used, but very selectively in certain nooks and corners. So that usage will change whatever is still untapped. A lot of people are still or are talking now that I have a garage space, and can I use AR and VR and say, okay, let me project and see, will this car fit into my garage? That's a different space, not banking, but just giving you a use case so that it is clear with everyone what I'm trying to say. And that's where world is moving towards. If I have a parking slot, I know in this parking slot, I can only fit a car like this. This is how I maneuver. Can I see that? I have a video. Can I merge it with this car and see how this travels in this? If this happens, sorry, a lot of people may fight or abuse me for this. A lot more real estate will get freed up. No more showrooms, far lesser showrooms. But if I look at from experience perspective, that will make my buying decision far more stronger. Today, even after buying, I get into this space and say, hey, I'm not able to park properly. And then I have to find solutions to it. This may be just one problem. There are many such things. I know I'm buying a TV. Visually, I feel, oh, I have a huge room. I can easily have a projector or buy a 85-inch or something. But when I put it up, experience is different. Can I visualize that by having an AR, VR experience? How will it look when I'm sitting there? Just trying to fit in a couple of examples so that we are able to visualize what I'm trying to say. This is not being done today. It's an untapped market. It will change. It will also give opportunity to upsell. My usage of this is today, people who buy 65 can buy 85 if this technology was available. That's on people who were buying a car which is 4 meter wide could have bought something which is longer just because this technology was available. So I am looking at it from upselling perspective.
No, I remember this because a very good friend of mine, Vikas, when they were building Common Floor, which was, I think India's first real estate portal, then they kind of looked at the problem statement of too many flat visits being done by the customer, kind of eating a lot of time from people on ground. And they built, a similar experience wherein they would tell the customer to kind of see through the AR route and figure out of say 15 properties, which are those 2 or 3 properties that you like most, and you go and visit only those properties rather than spending time, seeing all 20. I think from an extension perspective, I understand where you are kind of looking at. Sounds very, very interesting. I could not think of an upsell opportunity, but yes, if the customer is giving you that access in terms of what all dimensions that he, she, or they can think of, and then obviously you can then propose. If you are thinking of A, rather you could possibly look at B and C as well in terms of options available. Got it. No, I think this is very, very interesting. While I do have a couple of questions from people, we are also inching towards the end of our coffee chat, and I would have loved to possibly go on for another hour because this is getting very, very interesting. Having said that, with technology comes a lot of issues, right? Off late we have seen there are a lot of scamming happening. People are being scammed for various technology abuses, so on and so forth, that people are, and in fact, I think businesses are talking about responsible, ethical, sustainable AI and whatnot. Having said that, it's very, very difficult for people to create those boundaries, right? For example, right now, even in Gen AI use case, it's very difficult to stop hallucination, right? So I still remember I was actually, reading one specific piece wherein the AI model or Gen AI hallucinated. There was a word which had 3 R's, and it said that I could only find 2 R in the entire spelling of the word. And it just could not find that there were 3 letter R's that were there. But I think it's going to be very, very interesting for us to see how it unfolds. Having said that, how do you take care of these breaches that would come in with technology? Because one, it's inevitable in terms of technology adoption. You will have to obviously ride that wave. At the end of the day, if you sustain business, you need to have AI plus HI going together. But then how do you ensure that you are taking care of these breaches effectively?
Very, very tough question. See, with adoption of technology, we are living with this risk. And there is always, you are always vulnerable, whether it was today's age versus the earlier age where we were not using digital and technology as much. There were other vulnerabilities that we had. Today, because we are going digital, our vulnerability is more virtual than physical. Earlier, it was physical. That's the whole change that has happened. But this is inevitable. You will have to go in with this wave of change. You will have to live with it. It cannot change. There is risk. You are right. There are fraudulence that are possible, that are happening, and that may happen. And let me tell you, it's so surprising. And I keep listening to so many stories. Someone who is managing cyber attacks gets coined. Someone who is doing collection, ensuring frauds don't happen, gets frauded, gets through or gets trapped. And so, whatever smart we try and become, we may fall into that trap, and we should just treat it as um, another part of our living. And what we can definitely do and should do is be very vigilant and open when we are transacting, especially in terms of money. Where you're opening your internet banking, you should always know it should be a secure connection. Some of those things are very important for you to take care of when you are digitally transacting. And I can't say that digital will take away all this. Yeah, downtimes will go down. Today we are at 99.995. We may become 29.9995, so on and so forth. But rest of the things, vulnerability will only increase with our digital presence, with our digital livelihoods. Yeah, and physical versus virtual is the new vulnerability.
Wow. No, I think that's a very interesting take, Dinesh. You have seen various geographies, and I'm kind of moving towards in the last bit. Obviously, there are a few questions.
Sure.
Somebody who has mentioned that uh, average first-time home buyer travels 700 kilometers to explore all options. That's huge. I'm like, you are already doing it for Soba Realty now, so you know it better. Uh,
Yes.
there is another perspective which is coming from Samir, and who says that would banks forge alliance with local organization to kind of penetrate deeper into rural regions? I think banks are already doing it
Thanks.
in partnership with Fintechs and NBFCs to penetrate deeper where they could not go deep. They're partnering with these institutions. Uh,
Yes.
Last but not the least, because you did mention that India is pretty much ahead in this entire curve. You have seen India, you have seen Middle East, you have seen other part of the world as well. In terms of Middle East market, uh, how do you see the difference in perspective of people when it comes to customer experience through technology or through human touch, empathy? How do you see this entire perspective changing from India's landscape to Middle East, wherein the largest population is of expats, right?
Yeah.
So, what's your take on that? And then we will try and summarize quickly to wrap it up.
Sure. So, Middle East may be different. Dubai is a little different. Dubai is completely global. You don't have one single mindset. I am in my building. I am living with Europeans, Indians, Pakistanis, maybe some from different part of Middle East, some locals, and that's the mix. So how do you build something and say this is right? So same is the expectation. When I'm on the road, expectation cannot be from European standard, American standard, or any standard. So that's the difference. There has to be a global standard. And that's where Dubai is creating its own global standard for everything. There is huge amount of digitization. And I have really learned something from this place. And I think this will remain with me as a professional. Adoption. We always used to uh, learn how to adopt. I have seen very new way of adoption from Dubai, and I have learned that. Government initiative starts with digital. When they start off a journey, they start thinking digital. So yeah, it's a little different market. Expectation is um, not very straight. You can't work with expectation and draw something. What is done here is what is the best of class. You design your journey basis that, and then you see adoption, and then you see adoption automatically happens. That's the beauty of this place.
I think that's very interesting, right? I'm like the kind of diversity Middle East has and has attracted also by virtue of opening and embracing, the entire technology wave and keeping in mind the global perspective. I think that has been phenomenal. So what I also feel is that if you are possibly building something for the Middle East market, you are essentially bringing a global flavor in it because you've got different perspectives coming in from different part of the world, and
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
I think that's something which is very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I will possibly pick that as well.
Yeah.
Now I think we are almost we have overshot the time. Uh,
Yes, but I would
yeah,
still want to answer these couple of questions, some interesting ones. This
yeah,
gentleman asking,
sure.
for a home, I have to travel 700 kilometers. Uh, I think no more. From what I'm seeing as designs, the immersive experience that developers are giving you today, I think even being present in that shell, you can't get. And whether it is for renting or for buying, it is impossible for you to look at a room and say, oh, unless you are, I don't know, unless you are what in calculation, uh, it is difficult to identify how this room size is for my living. But this immersive experience allows you that. It allows you to keep the furniture the way you will have, maybe change some, but at least it will give you complete idea of how this place will look like when there is this set of furniture.
Got it. Yeah.
It allows you to enter, it allows you to maneuver, it allows you to take your family along. And today we sell property to customers sitting not 700, thousands of miles away from us. They go in, they see everything. This is the mock-up. That is for sure given. This is a mock-up. It may be 95% closest to what you are getting. But that's the best. Even naked eye cannot make 95% estimation because we don't have furniture in a space.
Hmm. 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 No, this is very interesting. I think, and I'm sure that people will continue to ask a lot more questions, but I have one question that I will ask you, and then I think
Sure.
we would wind up this coffee chat. And the question is, I'm like 25 years into the industry, and you have been talking about all the technology transformation perspective for people who are on this conversation and who are listening either here or on LinkedIn Live. uh, what's the recipe? How do you keep yourself updated with what's going on in the world, and how do you kind of remove that bottleneck from your mind that you could possibly learn and be part of the story rather than continue doing what you are doing?
Uh, See, learning is the key. And I read a lot. I just don't say that I read books because my take, I won't say that for avid readers. I have some at home as well. Books are written of what has already happened. I read current affairs and future trends and thoughts around that. And that's what keeps me updated. Of course, to build base, I've done my dependency or my share of dependency on books and historic reading. But today, if you ask me, I spend more time on real time current affairs, today's tech world, what's happening in the industry, irrespective of my industry. Like I said, my competition is not another real estate developer. My competition is the environment because everyone will build expectation of the customers. A hotel may build expectation of the customer. And e-commerce will build expectation of the customer, which is timeline. Thanks to Amazon, today we do everything in timeline, irrespective of the industry. That got started with Amazon, but that has changed. Today, everyone and wherever, whichever business industry, connected to e-commerce, disconnected to e-commerce, far away from e-commerce, you still want to show customer a timeline. Even a entertainment ticket, you show a timeline. You'll do this, and this is how it goes.
Got it.
So, environment challenges, and that's the biggest challenger for you. So, if I only keep looking at real estate, I'll remain dumb. I need to read what is happening. I need to know what is happening in the tech world around. What are the new technologies coming? They may be failing. They may be successful. I need to go through those success and failure stories because there may be learning in both of them.
Got it. Now, I think this is a very refreshing perspective, Dinesh. I think this is very enriching for me as well as for other people in terms of the perspective that you have shared. And I'm sure that we will continue to chat more around the same, and
Yes.
hope to seeing you soon in person as well.
Yeah.
Really appreciate all the time that you have taken out to chat with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone,
you.
who joined in, asking the relevant questions. And we'll see you next time with the next edition of Coffee Chat. Thank you so much, Dinesh.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining in. Thanks, Kapil. Thanks,
Thanks.
Five Team.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.